I want to talk about Brittney Griner. I don't want to sound harsh to this woman because I don't want anybody to be rotting in a Russian prison. Brittney Griner is a WNBA star who right now she's in Russia. She's just been convicted of possession of marijuana in Russia. It's against Russian law. She was sentenced to 9 years in prison. And this is going to sound so harsh. So I'm very interested in your thoughts on this too. I don't have a ton of sympathy for this woman. I'm going to pair that sentence by saying I also don't want anyone to rot in a Russian prison, but I don't have a ton of sympathy for this woman because she broke a law that she knew was a law. And it's not like a Russian court is sentencing her in a way that Russian citizens wouldn't face if they committed the same crime. So I don't exactly understand the outrage about what's happening to her, except for the fact that Russia is our adversary. They're a hostile foreign nation. And obviously, Brittney Griner is, to a certain extent, being used as a political pawn because the U.S. is sending weapons and money to Ukraine, who is fighting against the Russian invasion. So obviously, the Russians are angry at the United States, which just brings me back to the beginning. It's not even a good time for American citizens to go to Russia. It's a very poor and unwise decision to go to Russia right now. So that's mistake number one. Mistake number two is it's against the law to bring marijuana to Russia, and yet you brought your cannabis oil there, thinking that you would get away with it or that you wouldn't be punished for it at a time, even though Russia is very, very strict about enforcing their drug laws, not just against foreigners, American citizens, but against their own people. Kamala Harris sent out this tweet about Brittney Griner. She said, with today's sentencing, Russia continues its wrongful detention of Brittney Griner. She should be released immediately. POTUS and I and our entire administration are working every day to reunite Brittney as well as Paul Whelan with loved ones who miss each of them dearly. Okay, so first of all, Kamala Harris locked people up here in the United States for the exact same thing, for smoking marijuana. Kamala Harris put them in jail for about the same amount of time that Brittney Griner is facing in Russia right now. Kamala, by the way, also admitted that she smoked it herself. So Kamala Harris did something maybe even worse, because I believe it was cannabis oil that Brittney Griner had. It wasn't she wasn't blazing up a joint. Kamala Harris locked people up for doing that, and she smoked it herself, and now she's acting like this is some egregious human rights abuse. If there's some human rights abuse that Brittney Griner is facing right now, I will be the first one to stand next to her and to not only condemn that, but call for the full force of the United States government to free her from whatever, if she's being deprived of some basic human right, if she's undergoing torture, whatever it may be. If there is some human rights abuse, then obviously the U.S. government needs to get involved here. But didn't she know this was against the law? Of course she did. So what does she want? Does she want special treatment? And if so, why? Is it because she's a professional athlete? Is it because she is a celebrity? Is it because she thinks that she is a protected class because she's LGBTQ? Why would she get special treatment? There's a little bit of irony here, because Brittney Griner obviously wants the American government, the Biden administration, to intercede for her in some way. At the same time, she's herself is so anti-American that she refused to even stand for the national anthem. This is what Brittney Griner said in July of 2020, quote, "I'm not going to be out there for the national anthem. If the league continues to want to play it, that's fine. It will be all season long. I'll not be out there." Okay, girl. So you hate America, but you need America. Now, this does not mean that the American government shouldn't help her if she is suffering human rights abuse. The American government should. It doesn't matter what your political beliefs are, even if you're critical of the U.S. government. If you're an American citizen, okay. But you'd think perhaps this would cause Brittney Griner to reevaluate her anti-American attitude when she gets home, if she wants to rely on the American government to save her. Just a little irony here from the left. She's putting America at risk, Brittney Griner is, because what the Biden administration is doing right now is they're proposing trading prisoners with Russia, trading a female basketball star for a convicted terrorist, an arms dealer who has put American citizens in harm's way, if he's not outright responsible for their murder. Victor Bout is the name of this guy that Biden is proposing be traded for Brittney Griner. And I cannot even believe the Biden administration would do this. I cannot believe. Like I said, I don't understand fully the outrage over what's happening to Brittney Griner. And even some people on the right, mostly on the left here, but what's your argument? Why should she just be let go? Why should the United States give something that Russia wants, like a terrorist? Why should we give Russia a terrorist in exchange for this woman? What's your argument? That these laws in general that prohibit marijuana are unjust? Or that she's not being treated equally or fairly under the law? Because we here in the United States have laws against marijuana too. It's prohibited in federal law. So what's your argument that you don't like these laws? And because you don't like these laws somewhere outside of the United States, you think the United States government should give away a deadly terrorist, a murderous terrorist in exchange for this woman? I would never do that if I were president. Never. Never. Like I said, my caveat is if she's suffering some kind of human rights abuse, if she's being tortured in some way, fine, that changes the whole ballgame. But this is totally different than if a journalist goes somewhere and is thrown in prison without due process because of something critical they printed against the government. If there's some fundamental, unalienable human right that has been violated by a government, that's different. If you were deprived of due process, that's different. If it is political targeting by the foreign government, that's different. If it is a form of hostage taking, that's different. I don't see that this case is any of those things. To me, this seems like an entitled brat who knowingly violated a law in a hostile foreign country where she should have known better, where they very strictly enforced these laws. She was given a trial and sentenced in a way that is pretty equitable to what a Russian citizen would have suffered had they committed the same offense. And because she doesn't think Russia should have that law, she's okay with with Biden giving a terrorist back to the Russians. Really? I actually wish someone could ask her that. Are you okay with a terrorist being free to possibly harm someone else if that gets you out of jail? I would love to hear her answer to that.